Hi, nice to see you. Wow. Right?
Hi, how's it going? I'm Kevin.
So nice to meet you. Yes. Hi, sister. Hi. So nice to see you. Yes, absolutely. So much for Michael Sackey's district. It was a pleasure. Yeah.
Oh, you met him?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We bonded over music.
Oh, nice.
I was before.
Oh, cool.
We did. Yes.
Hey, Greg, sir.
Yeah, so it was nice to see him still being like holding on to shoes. I swear he was like, so sweet.
Right. Good, it's true. Yeah. What? Wait and see. I'm not standing. Wait and see.
All right.
Hey, Barbara.
How are you?
Hey, kid.
Sit every day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are upon service time. If I can invite you to take some seats. The family's been seated and there are plenty of extra seats, so please don't be bashful.
Your family.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Cantor Liz Sachs. I'm the senior cantor at Temple Emmanuel. It's my honor and privilege to officiate this morning at this memorial service for James Keene. Before we begin our official liturgy, there is a tradition in the Jewish faith of preparing for this moment. And actually, throughout our Jewish ritual, we find these opportunities to prepare for what we're about to do, actually give ourselves the space to step into that place, and then reflect on what we just have done. It's a trajectory that happens very frequently in our ritual. And so we're going to prepare with a ceremony called Kriya. And the word Kriya in Hebrew means to tear. going to hand to immediate family members these black ribbons that have small tears in them already at the bottom. And we use these ribbons to symbolize a number of things. We symbolize the tear in our hearts because we know we miss him. We symbolize the tear in the fabric of our lives because certainly for the last number of months and years, many of us here have been taking care of him. And that is different. You know. And I would say, especially because of that, we use this tear to symbolize the idea that up until now, there have been so many logistics. Things to take care of, phone calls to make, arrangements, food and papers. And today, just for a moment, we allow ourselves to put that away. We tear to let ourselves know that it's okay. It's okay to put it down. And it's okay to actually just be in the space and honor his memory and his life by being wholly present. So traditionally, we hand these ribbons to 7 relations, spouses, children, so wife and husband, and son and daughter and brother and sister. And we also know that many of us loved him deeply. So if you would like one, you are more than welcome to have it. And so as we affix them, we say for hearts that are torn, we wear these ribbons. I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach. God has given, has taken away. He shame, I Mivarach. Blessed be the name. Most prominently resides in our bodies, and then we tear upward. There is a tradition to wear this ribbon for the first 7 days after we bury a loved one. Some people choose to wear it for the first 30 days, for the first month after we bury someone. And this is really something that you can hold, and you can decide how. And use it for when you need to focus to this moment. שלא ייגמר לעולם. החול והים, רשפו של המים, ברק השמיים, תפילה החול והים, רשרו של המים, ברק השמיים, תפילת האדם. Oh God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the presence of the rush of the waters, the crash of the prayer. So we're here today to remember James, to think about the way that he impacted our life, to feel deeply the music that he brought into all of our souls, to remember his tenacity, his curiosity, his gentle encouragement of everyone who was around him, his way of seeing through the mist to a clear and honest perspective of what is and what should be. When we lose someone we love, we spend time using the words of our tradition that connect us back to thousands of years of history. And we use them to remember that his memory, his soul, has now become eternal, has now become part of the circular and the forever and the ever that was. And I know that we have had many conversations about how in those last moments, James in particular really felt that pull of the what will be and the what has been and the way that they came together. And for someone who was forever rationally searching for an understanding, that last illumination, that last realization that it was all one and all connected, makes it feel all the more appropriate to use these words to bind his soul to what has been and what will always be. And so we say, in this idea of the circle of life, birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is the journey. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then certainly to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death just one destination. But life is the journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. In these moments, there is a psalm that we use from our tradition, which is Psalm 23. And in this psalm, it sets up this idea that our loved one is at rest, at perfect peace, free from the ills and the ails of our bodily condition, where your soul can actually flourish. And we use this psalm to remind ourselves that we want to feel like our loved one is at rest and enjoying the warmth and the glow of what might come next. The connection to those that we loved here on this earth who are no longer with us. And so as we think about James's soul resting, we use these words of Psalm 23 to give us peace, that he is surely at peace. Adonai Ravi lo echsar b'no dashem yarbitzeni al mei Nafshi yeshove, yeshove, yancheni b'maglei tzedek, yancheni b'maglei tzedek, leman shemo. Gam ki begit samad doira ki atay madi shiftecha umishantecha hema yenom. Aruch lefanai, shulchan neged tzorarai, dishanta v'Hashem roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuኒ kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti bevei Adonai leyom. Adonai lo echsor, Adonai we say, God is my shepherd, I rest in green pastures. God leads me beside still waters and restores my soul, and therefore I shall not want. I walk in right paths for the sake of the divine name. Even when I walk in the valley of death's shadow, O God, I shall not fear, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have prepared a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and you have anointed my head with oil. My cup is overflowing. Surely goodness and mercy will pursue me as long as I live, and I shall dwell in your house, Adonai, forever. There's a special tradition when we miss someone we love, when we lay them in their final resting place, of reviewing their life. It's a commandment, actually, that we have to review the entirety of someone's life and hold their memory and their values as something that we are going to take with us. Because our tradition teaches us that there is nothing more beautiful than memory. It keeps us alive. It helps us keep the flame of their life and their love alive within us. Now, there's also a tradition that when someone we love passes away, we are so sad that we take out the music that we usually use when we pray. One of the ways that we symbolize loss and tragedy is by speaking only words that are traditionally sung. There are so many reasons for this, but it really made me think of James and the way that he loved music for so much of his life and had a special insight into it. But when he really wanted to rest, he needed to put it away. When he really wanted to be able to focus on being with his family in those last few weeks, he needed to put it down because it was too much. And he needed to be able to focus on the purity of relationship. And so I think about that now as we imagine what does it feel like to remember him and remember so much of what he loved, but really focus on these relationships that he valued so highly. It's hard to summarize an entire person's life. There are so many depths and twists and turns and ways that he changed and changed again. It's hard, especially when someone has lived a very long life and experienced so much in that life. But it can be easy for us when we can remember the core of who he was. Not to distill and not to reduce, because he surely wouldn't want that, as someone who leaned into complexity and profundity and this idea that there could be largeness that can be organized to create narrative. We wouldn't want to deprive him of that for his own life. But in the stories that you have all shared with me, it has become so clear that this line of relationship to each and every one of you and to all of you really is what drove him and really made him come into his true self. Judy, when you shared with me that it was only at the end of his life that he tried so hard to figure out how to externalize that bond, just be able to say, I love you, it really struck me what an expression of care that in and of itself was. For someone who had lived in a particular way and felt that he had loved in that way and loved his beloved Mary for that long, to realize that perhaps the person standing next to him needed something else, wanted something else, and to be able to change that late in his life is a tremendous testament to the connection that he had to all of you. And Abby, you shared with me that you always knew that he was there. It was like a constant presence, even if it wasn't an explicit expression all the time, right? Tremendous love and calm. That in and of itself is a beautiful understanding of what it means to stand with someone and next to someone and find joy in their life without having to be at the center of their life. And that's rare in this world, that someone knows how to do that and knows how to do that for multiple people. And I could spend a lot of time recounting so many of his accomplishments that many of you know. But I think he would know that is not really the measure of who he was. But to remember that he found passion, and he found passion that brought him great satisfaction in his musicianship, that he faced battles in his life that he found ways to overcome. That he loved airplanes so much. And it's such an amazing moment at this time. Yeah. That this coincides is really an ultimate expression of what we know so many of you have shared with me. You have still felt him in so many ways. And that's really very impressive that he found this way to take big, complicated things like music and symphonies and airplanes, which are big and complicated, and dive deep into the details and understand what made it feel so impressive and so whole, and then be able to share that with other people. And know that even though he could understand it quickly, maybe other people couldn't. That's a tremendous gift as well. And so we are going to miss all of those things. We are going to miss the way he quietly held our hands and let us know that he was there. We are going to miss the way he was relentless in his search for understanding and applied his intellectual prowess to not only music and airplanes, but also the afterlife as he moved toward the end. And I will just share that I had the pleasure of getting to know him a little bit at the end, and the number of conversations, deep and complicated, that we had about what might be and why, and how different traditions understood what might be and why, was such an outgrowth of who he was for his entire life. The search for the knowledge, not for greatness, but for real revelation and understanding so he could share it. That is the mark of an amazing and true teacher, which I think he was really for his entire life. And he taught so many things. And in that way, there was a sense in which he really was like a rabbi to his family, who held that space, who guided each and every one of you, and who brought you to the people that you are now. We know that his memory will live on forever in so many ways, in the signs that we see all around us all the time, in the lives that each of you and all of you live, as you live out the values that he instilled in you, and as you remember all of the things that made him who he was, and therefore make you who you are. We carry him with us. We play his music, literally and figuratively, every day that we remember who he was. And perhaps we live with a little bit more patience, a little bit more curiosity, a little bit more laughter, even at the bad jokes that maybe have been repeated about 42 times. But we live that way in order to honor who he was. And so at this time, with all of that in our minds and in our hearts, I ask us to rise as we are able. Memorial prayer.
המסי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה עם קדושים ודורים כזוהר הקיר מזהיר את נשמת יקירנו שהלך בעולמו ברחמים יסירהו בסתר כנפיו בעולם יצרור החיים את נשמתו אדוני nachato ve'anua b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar amen. Fully compassionate God on high, to our loved one who has entered eternity, grant him clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold him in the embrace of your wings. Secure his soul in eternity. Adonai, he is yours. He rests in peace. Together we all say. So at this time, as James has wished, we are going to bury him beside his beloved Mary. We are going to place the bag in the grave. And as we do that, it is especially fitting at this moment to remember that we believe that the soul is eternal and that this is merely the resting of the physical self. We say the dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the spirit which we now lay within the earth. The spirit itself cannot die. So we say, receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our departed James. Grant him that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. O God, help us to understand that grief and love go hand in hand, and that the pain which loss inflicts is the measure of a love so much stronger than death. Though we cry in our hearts, let us know that James will always be his. In spirit, O God, do we commit all that is precious to us to your keeping. So we have a tradition that we help bury our loved ones. Our loved ones deserve to be buried with knowing hands, with loving hands, with hands that held theirs so recently. And so at this time, I'm going to invite the immediate family to come and place some dirt in the earth and have a moment of private goodbye. So if you are part of the immediate family, if there are other people here who are gathered who would like to participate, you are welcome to do so at this time. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the sun, we will remember him. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember him. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we wish to share, we will remember him. And so long as we live, he too shall live, for he is now a part of us as we remember him. And so we say, may the love and eternal connection of our souls give us strength as we turn to recite words that have been made holy by time. Sanctifying the name of God, we honor James's memory with the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'adala u'lizman hariv ve'emu. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'mamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. Yitadar, Yitalev, Yitalal, Shmei Dekutsha, Borichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tishbechata v'nechamata, Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamayim, B'chaim alinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Amen, amen. Seh shalom imruma, Hu ya'aseh shalom, alinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Amen, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, so to James we say, Lech hishilachacha Adonai, go your way. Lech ki Adonai imach, go your way. May God be with you. May the righteousness and purity of your soul guide you as you move from this place into the next. Back again. This concludes our service here. You are welcome to stay for a few moments and give some personal goodbyes. The family will be honoring Judy's memory with Shiva at their home. Judy, do you want me to? Invite everyone to 3254 South Detroit Street in Denver, immediately following. Okay. Yeah, I know. Oh. Why? But why? Look at you. At the touch. Yeah, that would be the entire. Kill the vibe. Kill the vibe a little bit. Cold. I feel that way too.
Yeah. I didn't bring your stuff, but I knew you were going to say yes. Sorry.
No, who's this guy? He's a silly guy. He's cool from the middle. You know this guy. He's cool from the middle.
Tell me, I'm gonna go without.
Okay. Texas. I heard you helped Sweetie give him a bath yesterday.
He likes my kissing.
Yes, you didn't. Did you help Sweetie yesterday with him? He said?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll just take it off now. Honestly, yeah. Honestly, yeah. No sitting down for you anymore. They're busy now.
Oh, what's Auntie Dana doing? She's being silly.
Guess what, Ari? Auntie Dina and I have a surprise for her birthday.
What? A surprise?
And it's gonna be a little book. And it's gonna be just for Ari.
Oh my God.
Oh no, it's still happening.
Oh my